I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did everybody have a chance to review the agenda? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the January 20th regular and special meetings?
I would move to approve minutes from both morning and afternoon sessions on the 20th.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 20th meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Did everybody have a chance to review the vouchers?
Yeah, I had a chance to go through them. I didn't see anything. I would motion to approve them.
Seems inexpensive this month. A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Page 1.
Thank you.
Check these out.
I think that's Sinclair.
Sinclair.
Station.
Woodbury.
Huh?
Woodbury, yeah. There's one more.
These are all signed.
Hi, Stephanie.
Oh, hi, Jim. Oh, Mr. Baker.
No, that was my dad.
How are you?
If you're trying to be correct, it's honorable.
Oh. Is that new?
Okay, we have the approval of the First State Bank Depository of Public Funds, and Platte Valley Bank.
Two applications for depositories of public funds, which are consistent with years past. And there should be no reason not to approve them.
First State Bank is repository. Is that in Platte Valley?
Platte Valley, there's two of them.
Yeah, so we have generally approved three. And if history tells us anything, the third one should come next week. So
Yeah.
the statute says you shall, let's see, acted upon by the proper governing board as soon thereafter as practicable. So this is your next meeting since we've received them.
Okay.
And they've always been excellent. Partners, great to work with.
They do a very good job of being a community bank, both of them.
Yeah.
I would move to approve First State Bank and Platte Valley Bank as depositories of public funds.
I'd second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve First State Bank and Platte Valley Bank as depository of public funds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we have Road and Bridge on our agenda.
Right, good morning, gentlemen. So for the road and bridge, last 30 days, we haven't plowed really much snow. We did send plow trucks up to Glendo 3 times to just sand the dam, and then Lakeshore Drive, some of those coming through the valley there, didn't get much sun. So we did get at least to exercise both new plow trucks a little bit from the sander side. We haven't pushed any snow blades yet, but hopefully it's coming. Did a cattle guard clean out, done a lot of sign installation, so trying to take advantage of the nicer weather. And so we've been putting in a lot of the state signs, and we're probably at about 50% of what they sent in. It was 600 is what they've given us, so we put a lot of signs out. And Wheatland, Guernsey, a little bit up in Glendo areas. We've been doing a lot of iWork training, so we do that once a week with iWorks, kind of just getting the whole system down and understanding its full capacity, which is a lot. So I think it'll take us a while before we can actually get to utilizing it to its full extent, but.
So is that with the entire staff?
Well, myself, Mark, and Leanne right now, and then what we've been doing is, after that, doing subsequent training with the shop crew and stuff, getting them up to speed as far as work order input, mapping for signs, culverts, cattle guards. It's a lot, but I think it's kind of, I guess, a good part of not having this, having a lot of snow is we actually have a chance to kind of take care of some of those and start incorporating the system instead of trying to make it a side project. It can be a little bit more of a focus, so there is good in it as far as that goes. I guess that's a silver lining for not plowing snow.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I got a tour of it the other day, of the iWork system. Remarkably impressed.
Good.
I think it's gonna be a huge asset. Talk about perfect timing too. PubWorks reached out the other day and their price is tripling. And so it was with great honor that I got to know. So, you saved more than you thought you saved.
Timing's everything.
Winning, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Small
Everything.
victories will take them for sure.
I'm glad it's a tool that actually is a tool. You know, some of
It's-
those are overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah, this one, it's fantastic. You know, and that's what happened with the first one, it was definite overpromise, underdeliver. Yeah, so it's been great, and the stuff that it does is just fantastic, from like pavement management, so it actually puts, you can set asphalt for a life cycle of whatever you want, and then it has just different tools in there, and you can basically go assess a road and say, well, there's potholes, here's this, and then it feeds out recommendations on, it'll give you remaining life of the road and then recommendations on how to bring that back up.
Yeah.
Which is pretty slick between fog seal, chip seal, and it's a tool a lot of places, county, state even uses and things like that, so. It's, we're really, really excited, and then next week, it's a little intensive, but it's once a week for the next 4 weeks, and that'll be, strictly fleet management. So, and then it'll be 4 weeks of fleet management, and with that one, Beal will be involved, and he'll sit there through the trainings too, and they're an hour each session, so. It's just, yeah, it's fantastic, the things that it can do, and how it just, yeah, awesome, and they've been super user friendly. I could go on raving about it
Yeah.
for quite a while, so it's a big thing. We did prioritize some shop cleanup, and we took everything out of the basement, cleaned the entire basement, cleaned upstairs, cleaned the backyard. Very happy we have everything inside except for plow trucks, a couple trailers, and then our belly dumps and our haul trucks. So,
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
It really
it's-
does.
it really it warms my heart to have a nice, clean shop, and the guys really, they busted their tails working on that for several days and getting that organized, and yeah, it's just nice to be able to walk around and little level room, and everything's parked neatly.
Sometimes you gotta just take the time and do that.
And it was a lot, like most things, you know, oh, this will only take a couple days.
Yeah.
It'll take a couple more days, but yeah, so it took us a couple weeks and it was just shop crew, everybody else was still out. The graders were doing their thing, but yeah, it's fantastic. So, super happy with that. I did talk to Colton Parrish from the state about the right-of-way things. So we've been in communication, trying to understand the requirements a little bit more. We've talked to a surveying engineering firm, and they've actually reached out to them, and so we're getting it all the loops kind of closed out. Essentially, all they wanted was just a quote on what it would cost to survey the county's right-of-ways through the state land, which they've done, and they have a good idea. So I think if we don't have all the requirements met for that ask, we're right on the cusp, but we're looking in pretty good shape. So, for the next 30 days, hopefully, we'll be removing some snow at some point. Goodness. We're ready if it comes. Then I work training with fleet management. We've been doing a lot of data uploading into iWorks, getting everything prepared and ready, so when it does go into full swing, we're ready. I didn't know really how to word this, but you know, the roads are getting super dry and they're just turning to powder. So we're considering taking our water trailer and actually taking some of those roads and watering them a little bit and trying to give them some moisture in there so then they can get some moisture in, clean it up, and then pack it. The hard part is, you know, our truck holds 6,000 gallons, or our trailer does, and we've experimented with it before, and it's about 2,000 gallons of water per mile.
Yeah.
So if it's something we want to do, that's fine. It's a lot of water, and I know we're kind of going into a drought, so I feel, you know, a little conflicted with it, I guess. But if it's something we want to do, I think we've experimented with it before, and it did help maintain the road better. So we did one on Jefferson, we did a little mile stretch, and Jack kind of graded it, and then we went and watered it, and then he packed it, and it held for quite a while. So there's merit to it. It's just
You might ask the irrigation, I mean, the irrigation district has all these ports where the fire trucks can hook up and fill and stuff like that. You might see if they would be interested in sparing a couple 30,000 gallons of water to water some roads. I don't know.
Most of those dry hydrants are dry.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, yeah, that's right, but you know, the things, hey, you guys let the fire department do it, why not let us?
But, I mean, they put them in years ago in places and now there's no water in those places,
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
and the Weed Pest does
That's
have
right.
over there, they have a water point, we can fill up there also. So there's a couple options, but I can also talk to them, that might be, it might be an avenue, if they're willing to,
it's dirty water, so, I mean, it's not well water. so
Right,
I'm not
no,
sure what
that's a
that
good point.
cleanup looks like, but maybe it's not bad, I don't know.
yeah.
You have some places, Chris, that you would consider to get bad enough to where vehicles are having a hard time staying on the road because of the washboards and a turn or this or that or whatever, to where you would concentrate on those first, or no?
That's, yes, we would be selective on where we do it. There's a couple local roads here. Ridge up in, Glendo is always a little bit of a challenge, and just the drier it gets, the harder it is. So there'd be a few, local roads here. Jefferson's always a, challenge, and, yeah. So but the hard part, or not the hard part, I guess, it's just, it's a mile at a time. And so we'll, kind of like that, Bluffview's always a challenge, going along Brookie. For some reason, Brookie's just a mile stretch that just gets beat up hard. So, yeah. That's something we'll look at doing and kind of experiment a little bit, if you guys are good with that. So, we'll do that, and then, we're gonna do a few culverts here, next month. There's a couple on Brookside that need to get replaced before irrigation water starts coming through, and then a few culvert ends, so a couple of us will start doing that. We're gonna Mark and I are gonna go out and fix a couple culvert ends tomorrow, and then here in the coming weeks, we'll look at doing culverts. We were gonna do some last week, but the wind just, hate to dig a hole and then lose half our binder and send it to
Yeah.
Nebraska. So
Yeah.
trying to find non-windy days is also a key.
Might be a challenge holding on to the culvert until you get it into the hole.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So, but we'll work through it, and those are, so that's kind of where we're at with that. I did talk to another engineering company. So where we're at right now is Leanne has pretty much researched everywhere that she can research, which we talked with Ian not too long ago about that also. Like, we were looking at 1888 documents from Laramie County even. And so I think she's found everything we can. So now what we're doing is basically just compiling a list of maintained roads with no right-of-ways or no documentation that we can find. So also talk to an engineer, surveying company, and we'll shop around and see what else we can find too, because basically what they said is 10,000 per mile, and that's if they have to go out, survey, reestablish corners, and and then do all the documentation and everything that goes with it. It seems like a lot of money to me. I don't know enough about surveying companies to know if that's good or not, but we'll fish around and
Roughly how many miles of road are you finding that we don't have any documentation of?
enough to where we have to split it up into groups.
Yes, so I couldn't give you a good exact answer off of that, but I can tell you, I can think of 3 miles in Chumbargus right off the top of my head, actually more than 5. So
Might be cheaper just to quit maintaining those.
it is possible. So, yeah,
If they're not county road.
but
They're, yeah, it'd be one of them's Bordeaux.
there's a good stretch on Bordeaux, and then Brittany Road is another one. Hutton Creek's another one. We can't find any documentation on Hutton Creek being ever an established county road. We can find some things where there's petitions or where it was requested, but then nothing that closed it out. So it's
Been there a day or
interesting.
two.
I'm sorry?
Been there a day or two. I drive down it every day.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
We're gonna quit maintaining it.
yeah, so,
It might not be a bad idea to start dry anyways. You know, start running on it and we're stop making it powder. Who knows?
yeah. But the one good thing is like with iWorks, we'll start developing historical documentation of, you know, so this road we touch twice a year and it costs the county $4,000 to maintain every year. So, you know, is it worth it or is it not, et cetera. So we will be able to start honing in a little bit more and actually having, I guess, quantifiable justification whether.
So you're gonna get to the point where you can answer the question that was brought up a long time ago, what's it cost you to maintain the gravel and dirt, whatever county road per mile?
Yes, sir.
Once you get,
And then we'll be,
remember, that was like going on 10, 11 months ago, I said, what is that number?
yeah.
You know, to do that.
And the nice thing is we'll be able to show exactly how much each specific road has cost us.
Well, cause some of them are more than others.
Right,
Yes.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So the good thing is, and that'll show all encompassing. It'll be like Sawmill, for example, when we did that culvert out there, just to replace that culvert in, I think that, $3,000 or $4,000, but there was all the things that go with it. So how much it actually completely costs to maintain each road individually and then as a collective, here's what we spent in gravel last year, here's what we did on asphalt last year and things like that. So again, I can keep raving about how excited we are for iWorks because it's gonna be an awesome tool, I think. I'm very excited. And so that'll come along and what we're doing now with all the stuff that Leanne has is what we're slowly starting to do now is scanning all of that into the computer. So she's taking commissioner minutes, petitions, et cetera, and all the things, and we'll start uploading that into the computer, so then we'll have a full database, which will help like title companies when they call and like, what do you know about this road? Oh, here's everything that we have. And so I think it'll help, and then we'll try and talk to them one of these days about getting our website kind of adjusted and changed for the road and bridge, and then we can have potentially links to all that and things. So it's all coming together well, and she's, like I said, she's pretty much researched all that she can, and now it's just a matter of trying to figure it out. Once we get everything uploaded, I will send you guys a list of what we think is priorities for roads that need to be surveyed, and then if there's adjustments to that, we can make adjustments, and then we'll start looking at actually pursuing it. But for now, right now, we're fishing, scanning everything.
And that includes roads that we don't maintain, but we do have easements on.
Yes, sir. Yep. So, and we'll get that, it'll be broken down. So we'll have, unmaintained roads with right-of-ways, with active right-of-ways, maintained roads without active right-of-ways, et cetera. But we'll get it broken so it's, which, as you said, the, maintained without active right-of-ways are the priorities. And we'll go through all those countywide, and then we'll prioritize which ones we think are the most important through that. And see if we can keep them kind of grouped. One surveying company said that's nice, because then they can be just in one area. But if there's priorities in other places, they'll have to just move. So, but we'll work through it and keep it going. We did have a meeting with Laramie County Public Works. I think that was last Tuesday, and everything that we've researched and everything that they showed us, they own East Bear Creek. So, which is,
They own East Bear Creek.
yes, sir, that's their road. So, which is fine. It's A-okay. So, we did talk to them a little bit about, so they, if next year does come in, they got awarded 1.6 million or something for that road. So they'll, whatever they do, they're gonna try and get it a little bit further into our side, because it kind of makes sense for a stopping point. But we'll keep in communication with them. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's one less for us, which is totally
Does that alter our MOU?
if they do maintenance on it,
Well, not the MOU, the road use agreement, excuse me.
the one that we have,
Yeah,
It was on ours also,
Okay.
but ours is still adjustable, so we'll just end up removing that one. Because, yeah, like I said, everything we found and then everything they presented, that's their stretch, so.
Good job, you just sold the road.
Yes, absolutely. No, it was almost sad. I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm over it, yeah. Good job.
So, yeah, that one was, that was actually kinda nice. I don't know if they were expecting a fight over it, but they didn't quarrel from us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I have 2 encroachments. Both of them are in the Glendo area. One is Mark Williamson, and the other one is actually his neighbor. So they're just doing a little bit of subdivision stuff. So, and there's really, we don't have any issues with it or whatever. Williamson's fine, and his neighbor, and it's basically his neighbor that's doing the other one, so he'll make sure it's all good and squared away.
Were your guys up there in that country when that windstorm went through
Um,
a couple Fridays ago?
oh, the one that came out of the north?
Mhm.
He was at his house, but nobody was out,
I thought somebody said Dale was up there doing something.
not on that Friday. They've been up in that area doing some signs and installations, but not when that thing came through. It was terrible. Yeah.
Oh, I know this one.
I
And then, just so you guys are kind of aware, I'm sure the planner will have more information on it, but this is a chunk of property that was down in Chugwater that was for sale. A company is under contract to buy it. They want to subdivide, and I think it's like 195 acres. So this is not a county road. It's not one that we over-maintained. This is a county road and this is unmaintained. So, and I kind of told them the same thing as when we talked to that gentleman down there on Happy Hollow. We're not, probably not in the business of, taking on new projects. So similar thing, if they wanted to do a subdivision, they would have to, do an engineered road and figure some of that out. I did tell them I would at least talk to you guys about it if you had thoughts or whatever. They said they were happy to come down and chit chat a little bit more to figure out how to
How
go
to
through.
get to it.
Yeah,
This is Pioneer.
That's Pioneer, and that's later, that's Haley. Around the quarter. Pioneer,
It stops.
no, 1,
His
2,
place is right over
yeah, his place is, that's Mark's, and probably that's his.
here. Yeah.
That's the last one is, yeah. So,
So Haverly Road is maintained, isn't it?
no,
We don't maintain
no.
West
See,
Haverly.
there's a power line right here, so the first mile is listed as unmaintained county road, is that correct?
yes, sir.
Okay, and then from there on out, it's not.
It's not.
And I got that from Gregor years ago. This is just an unmaintained section on this first mile right here. And then there's power line, and then from there on, you're on your own. Because there's no bus, no anything, there's no kids down in there.
And then that's Buckskin, which we don't maintain any of that. So,
No,
and if this comes to fruition, and then at least you guys kind of have a heads up and know about
and
it.
who's behind?
There was Killian's property, and I can't remember the name of the company. It's a Colorado-based company, but they do land deals in Colorado and Wyoming. I just can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head.
You said that was Killian's.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't there a gravel pit proposal when you, before you were here?
I don't know.
Was there a gravel pit proposed over there?
I think so.
So what happens when they stop them from putting the gravel pit?
For some reason, they didn't.
Yeah,
Go
no,
forward
that
with
wasn't an
it, so.
issue, yeah.
So, and then the only other thing that I have is Our tires on the road graders starting to get a little thin. Another silver lining to not a lot of winter snows, we can use them to get through the winter for the most part. We put one new set on, Nick's down in Chugwater. Last year, at the end of the budget, we used some of our leftover, or our remaining balance to buy a couple sets. So we have one set down at the shop. So once something gets super thin, we got one more, but then that's still three that we have, that we'll need to replace tires.
And they all got about the same amount of hours and everything on them, so it's like wham, all at
Yeah,
once, instead of,
Yeah. We've been kind of trying to prep it, and Beal, that's where Beal's just amazing. So last year, we were able to get a couple sets, and this year, hopefully, if winter kind of stays like this, they should get us through next summer also. So we'll be able to kind of, but by next winter, we'll need to put them in for sure.
So they like $6,000 a grader?
I think 8.
8, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that 1,600 apiece?
Right around in there.
something like that.
Yeah, so it's a heavy bill, but, so hopefully, if we can get them all through the summer, we'll pick up another set or two, with what we have left in the repair budget, and then next year we'll just have to get.
How are you for cutting blades?
I'm sorry?
How are you for cutting blades?
We're looking pretty good. They've been doing pretty well, and we had a pretty good stockpile, so. Yeah, otherwise. Our plow edges look great. Sadly.
Yeah.
But
Haven't lost
I'll be
one
rusty.
shoe all winter.
I know, yeah. So, but that's where we're at. We'll probably end up getting our gravel stockpile is getting a little low, so we'll probably end up taking a week and hauling some gravel, and waiting on a couple different places to give me quotes, so that we can, rebuild our stockpile, which we try to keep about a mile's worth of gravel at the shop. Which sounds like a lot, but it can go very, very quickly. But it's about 1,800 ton, and somewhere between $10.50 and $14 a ton is what's out there right now. So, but that'll probably be coming soon, because our stockpile's pretty minimal now. We're down to about 10 belly dumps left. So,
You've been down that road that you just on?
not in a while, no.
You wanna go?
Buckskin,
Well,
it's just kind of
that's a 2-track
Yeah.
cut across road for wheat harvest.
Yeah.
That's what that road is, cause I've been on it.
Right.
You know, that's all that is.
Mhm.
But, the other part, if you wanna go sometime, let me know.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, and they, that company, they understood, they walked the ground. I don't know why they're going to put stuff fish in there, but
Yeah.
that's kind of an interesting spot. But,
Yeah.
and I gave them the gist of it all, and here's kind of what you'll have to do and how it would be, so they understand. Any questions, that's all I have for them.
I don't have any questions.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. We went out, what was that, last
Monday, I think it was.
something? Whatever day it was.
Monday or
At the shop,
Tuesday.
It was really impressive. Like, for a guy who has a very messy shop himself, I was very impressed. But they had, you could actually see the stuff that was underneath holding up all the stuff. And so they basically, that old building was an amazingly built building. They put a couple stairways in some place where they shouldn't have gone. And so, like, interesting.
Yeah.
It's holding that up. But I was really impressed. It was awesome. So thank you guys. That means a lot. Just keeping things nice and tidy is a really, really big step.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just having the stuff inside
I know.
warms my heart so
Yeah.
much, so much. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Kelly, do you have any updates from the town of Wheatland?
Nothing particularly. It's been moving along fairly well.
Hey, Chris.
Right now, there's been no real issues. Things are kind of closing up, the water tower, everything's done with that now, it's complete, there's no more issues. Right now, we're just chasing down 40-year-old electrical and older plumbing and sewer lines and trying to keep the town running. As you guys know, it's old infrastructure.
40's not that old. Come on.
You can justify it anyway. Talking to the 60-year-old over here.
I saw somewhere where you had some kind of a program for supplying firewood to vets.
Correct. I had some people reach out to me that I know, and they've volunteered some firewood for veterans who are struggling to stoke their fireplaces or their wood-burning stoves or anything else. I put it out, and right now, nobody's reached out to me. Well, it's been a pretty mild winter overall. But I still have some stockpiles laying around from people who have volunteered it. And not all the best firewood in the world, like it'll burn and create heat.
Yeah, if you need some
Yeah,
more,
that's what I was gonna say, if you need a place to get a hold of us, 'cause
yeah, seriously.
Oh, I understand.
You've got bunks of it that are actually, it's not even cottonwood, so they don't even have to be really angry to split it,
Yeah.
you know? It's like
A
really
good workout
angry.
though.
Yeah, it's a really good workout.
I got,
a lot of
yeah.
trees that went down this.
Yes,
Yeah, the windstorms. You
yeah.
know, a friend I ride with, he's the deputy superintendent up at Glendale State Park, and he's like, we have tons of wood.
You know, Road and Bridge might get one of those pelletizers and just make bags of pellets. You know, they've been doing a lot of tree work, and these guys have been doing a lot of, I don't know.
Oh, in town as well, and that's what we're struggling with right now up at the transfer station.
Yeah, you
Is
guys might get a pelletizer.
we have looked into a lot of different things, trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
But it's coming down to,
it's expensive.
well, the cost, and then we're forecasting the budgetary things they're doing down in Cheyenne right now. And we're trying to hold together what we have with the forecasted budget cuts coming.
Yeah.
So we're trying to plan for worst case scenario, and you be smart about what we're doing.
Yes.
Because this goes through, there's gonna, you know as well as I do, it's gonna be a huge impact to what services we can provide.
40-year-old infrastructure might not seem like such a bad deal, like, well, now we gotta wait another 60 before we can even think about fixing it.
And that's the struggle we're running with, and that's why I'm working with the different department heads to see how we can better improve what we have right now. And trying to use some of our budget right now to buy some things that we can forecast we're gonna need in the future. They'll get some additional transformers in and get some items that we know is gonna come into play.
At least we don't have any wood and water lines. That we know.
That we found, yeah. Yeah.
Well, our
It'd be
water
super.
department, I'm sorry. No, our water department has got a new program. They're out there mapping all the water and sewer lines right now to give us an accurate representation of what we have in town. Because that's just
Smart.
last 16th Street.
Yeah.
Where they found things that shouldn't have been there and
We're full.
were supposed to be there, and some
Yeah.
things they realized the old maps weren't as accurate as they hoped they were. So we're getting a lot of fixes on those.
Ain't it fun dealing with sins of the past?
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it and been trained to do in my life is you can understand the past, but you gotta look forward. And you just gotta try and keep pressing that down that road. And when you find it, there's an old saying called Semper Gumby, forever flexible.
Semper Gumby.
So Tony just walked into dispatch a minute ago.
He should be coming in a few minutes.
Those things on the school board, maybe.
I do have this so you can sign.
Good.
You guys approved that eons ago, and I finally got a copy with the changes.
Okay.
Oh, they,
Yeah, that's the phase 2 contract that you all approved last year. And it has all the changes that we requested. I got an update. The design phase is going well. They should be ready to present something in the next couple of weeks.
That is good.
Yes.
That's, didn't have a certification through the Department of Revenue.
Oh.
Okay, we have Sheriff Croats on our agenda.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm gonna also have Deputy Keller, or Captain Keller here, assist me on this. I was out of town at the time of this threat that had happened. So Captain Keller and Under Sheriff McConaughey kind of took the lead on this and rocked it. But we'll give you just kind of a rundown of what happened on our end. You know, we have other parties here also can chime in, but we did, looking up the date, it exactly came through, but on the 28th, there was a robo threat for a bomb placement in the school here in Wheatland. That message wasn't received until early that morning, at which point in time, law enforcement responded. They'd requested bomb dogs come out of Laramie County to come up and assist with that search, and thankfully nothing was present. On our side, the whole incident kind of showed our ability and you know, we talked about the MOUs this morning, but our ability to utilize what we have around us to assist, and that was incredibly helpful. Homeland Security, I did do my part 400 miles away, just doing some calling back and forth. And as on the second phone call I had to them, that's when they told me that threat had been identified up in Sheridan County. And then later on, I had learned that about 9 other schools had received that. So that's what I have on my end. Like I said, these two gentlemen kind of took the lead for the sheriff's office on that, and I'm increasingly grateful that they were able to do that. But anything on your head side?
So, yeah, just as Sheriff Croat said, I was the one that received the initial phone call from the secretary that was checking voicemails at the high school. She just called me directly, let me know that a voicemail came in at approximately 11:55 the night prior, and that she was checking voicemails about 7:20, a little after in the morning. She heard that voicemail stating that there were multiple explosives throughout the building. They were to detonate at 1 o'clock, and if anybody were to tamper or move them, then this voice would show up and start shooting people. After I disconnected with her, I notified our dispatch and told her just to get any responding units on scene. Until I got there, I was still out of my residence. Communication back and forth with Superintendent Weigel. Kids were still, of course, I mean, it's drop-off time. So it was busy for the high school. It was busy for that entire block, Libby Administration Building. So we worked and navigated and kept in constant communication with each other. When I got a hold of the station chief with Homeland Security, at that point in time, they considered it, they wanted us to act as if it was a real threat, saying that they had only received one other notification at that time. It was within probably that hour and a half time frame. Utilizing social media, we started to see that other agencies were starting to post, and then it sounds like superintendents and school districts are also communicating and starting to reach out and say, hey, we're getting these calls. We already asked for Laramie County Sheriff's Office to bring up their explosive K9 team, which they dispatched 2 up to us. They ran through the interior of the main building of the high school and then worked exterior of the high school, as well as Libby and checked administration before they had to head back down south, because then Burns and Carpenter and those smaller jurisdictions were starting to get their phone calls in as well. As Sheriff Croat said, I think on the department side, working with Wheatland PD, we've had the regional guy from Game and Fish with us. I thought it was pretty gone as well as it could. Again, it was taken as a credible threat at the time, considering that we were actually one of the first, ones to receive that warning phone call or at least be notified, so.
What is the plan with the students when something like that happens?
Whose plan is that? Is it also
Yeah,
what I'd like to
whose plan is it?
Answer that? So I can tell you a little, John Weigel, superintendent. So I think operationally, we still maintain some of those decisions. I think in the law enforcement, they would do like an arrest, or they would secure the security of the community, the safety of the community. But we still maintain the operational part of that. So as we talked through that, we felt like that was something we received the year before, a very similar robocall. Last year or the year before, we actually had the SROs sweep the area, notified our parents that there was, a possible threat. We were gonna sweep the schools, but we were gonna maintain just a normal day because we didn't think it was credible. So the hard part is there's a decision that has to be made at some time about, and I think right away it was credible what they got from their end. Because of the transition, we didn't have kids in school, we didn't have attendance. Part of it was shooting somebody. We didn't want to line our kids up in line for buses when part of that was shooting. So we felt it was the safest process would to be maintain our kids in a shelter in place. And then it kind of evolved from the drug dogs and sweeping those areas. That's what we felt was the best decision. So it's still collaboration between the district and law enforcement.
So how many,
Go
how
ahead.
many kids, what percentage of the students were in custody of the school district at the time that you guys realized the call came in?
Realizing the call or actually being there to hear it, there's two different things. Like I said, 7:30, we get kids there even earlier than that on the playgrounds. I would say at 7:30, you might have 25%, possibly. By the time we started making some decisions, that was, of course, more students were there, buses were dropping off, parents were dropping off, and that transition is very difficult. Like I said, you wouldn't have attendance to even line up for any kind of evacuation and those kind of things.
So, and I'm stepping on Steve, but I've had a lot of calls about, so you guys had 25% plus or minus of the students in custody, and you imported the rest of the 75% into a situation that was a credible threat from wherever. Everybody says it's a credible threat. That seems to me like a really big lapse or a misjudgment to bring in the rest of the students to a place where there is a credible threat. Do you feel the same way, or?
I understand that part of it. As we were listening to, I think you have to listen to the threat. We listened to it. We had similar things before. It's really difficult in that transition, right? I have parents say, why don't you stop us? Well, I don't think anybody, including law enforcement, said, stop anybody entering. Let's come up with what we think is the best plan. With AI-generated threats, not a specific one to even high school. There's other things, I think if you look at the latest.
But my
Research
point
behind
is
it?
that you guys got a phone call that said this, treat it as a credible threat. And so at that point, your responsibility is to treat it as a credible threat.
Well, I think when Cody got there is when we heard a little bit more from them. We didn't have that at 7:30.
So do
Right.
you assume that all bomb
He was
threats are not
looking into
credible
that.
until
What's
they're
that?
proven? Do you assume all bomb threats are not credible until proven otherwise?
No, I think you have to decide and hear the threat. That's part of the process, I
Yeah.
believe. And I think maybe historically, it might be a little different now with the AI and everything else that's being different. You do have to kind of acknowledge like, hey, what are the precautionary processes we have to take currently? We have kids on buses throughout the district. For us to evacuate at that time, it would have been delayed probably past the start of school, even to get things ready to go because of that transition. And honestly, that's the most difficult part of any kind of issue before school, at lunches, all those kinds of things, right? So we were
Okay, so
listening,
what
we
is
were
the-
working collaboratively with them. I think the drug dogs or the bomb dogs are great to validate there was nothing there, to put our kids in a position where they were in shelter. We felt that was the best decision at that time. If we had known at 7:00, we would have said, hey, maybe a 2-hour late start to keep everybody away from the school. Cody did that. Not any other school didn't evacuate across the
I'm
state.
not looking at,
Yeah,
I don't live
yeah.
in Cody.
Yeah, yeah,
We live in Platte County.
sure. Sure.
So I would expect us to be able to, it seems like there was a big miss. And what I'm really chasing is how do we change that from a big miss in my mind? And I think it is.
Mhm.
I think if you ask any emergency responder or plan or whatever, you do not add fuel to a fire if you think you have it. And so you don't add risk or liability to a
Sure.
situation. You usually try and keep keep that as low as possible. So I'm trying to figure out whose plan that was that ended up where we imported the rest of the 75% of the kids to a place that had a treated as credible threat advice from another agency.
Well, I think it's in collaboration with law enforcement also. If they have a perimeter around even Libby or the high school, it wouldn't take one administrator. It would be a collaborative group to tell parents, because we get them dropping kids off all around the building. We have high school coming in from 3 different things. That's a collaborative, I think, decision that all of us could have made. Right? It's not just the school, it's not just law enforcement. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but my
Yeah.
point is that nothing happens. So Tony was a fantastic emergency response coordinator because he would go and they would train.
Mhm.
And so when something like that happens, and if it's a panic or whatever else, your first step is gonna be a panic unless you have trained for something to go, okay, this happened, my next step is this. And so what I'm trying to get to is that a plan that we work with through emergency response? If we're responding, and I agree, it's the responsibility of the schools, and so eventually this will end on your shoulders as the superintendent of the school district to go, what is the best plan we can make and why didn't it happen? And it maybe was, but I'm gonna treat what I think is probably right because I think I'm supported by it. You don't add fuel to a fire. And so how do we change that to where it's a prepared response that is better?
And we meet, I think, as a quarterly, we meet as an emergency team with Platte County school districts and Platte County. We talk through different kinds of things. This is a great one to again revisit in terms of the school and the police and the sheriff to talk through these kinds of things. So I think we do have an open communication in terms of working together, and I think that's the key, right?
So if the exact same thing happened tomorrow, what would you do different?
That's a tough one. We want to make sure we probably notify parents that, hey, we have an issue right now. We'd probably shelter our kids in place currently. We would probably tell parents at this time, we have an issue. You can, keep your son or daughter with you, wait for the next step in terms of this emergency.
Because I had several calls.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
people were,
Yeah, I think the timing is, we hear it, credible. We didn't know how many schools, we didn't have their information from Homeland Security. It still takes a little more time even from that. I don't know what time that was, Cody, when you came and shared that with us. It was probably closer to quarter till maybe, or I don't know what time that was, but just realize when you say 7:30 when the call went out, but you know what I mean? So he verified that maybe with Homeland Security, there wasn't additional information out there, but that timing is very difficult for sure.
Here's where I'm kinda stuck.
Yeah.
Credible, not credible, so forth and so on. You said 25% of the kids were basically in lockdown.
They were out on the school playgrounds, that's what the
Okay,
Libby group does.
inside the building.
Inside the building, there's kids in the commons, there's kids in different buildings across the school, the high school has multiple.
But you had kids
schools.
inside those buildings?
Yeah.
Could they get out and go home? Could they get out and go?
Can I ask it maybe a different way?
Right.
So, John, the decisions that are made can't be made by the county.
No,
No.
not at all.
That's to be made by a different governing board that's elected by the people, accountable to the people. And so, and it's very easy to Monday morning quarterback somebody after the fact, right? So kudos to all of you for making decisions you did real time. That's a tough spot to be in. It's easy to make the decision after the fact, hard to make it in that time frame. So the question is, do you think the school resource program is helpful in that decision-making matrix? And is there anything the county can do to help you in that decision-making matrix going forward? I think the question is there anything the county can do to assist you all in a really important goal, keeping people safe? I'm not gonna put you on the spot here.
Sure,
That's
sure.
something to think about
Sure,
at a later
sure.
date, but
Sure.
as we evaluate programs with property tax cuts as well, that school resource program is always gonna be a question mark. And so knowing the value of it is always important.
I think having Cody there with us in that school resource position was extremely helpful because he knew who at the school that needed to talk to, what the buildings were, he had way more information than our normal guys would going into that. So he kind of took point on all of it. Definitely a situation that we can almost never do enough, but you can always definitely do not enough, right? So,
I think going off of that too, just, it reaffirmed for me to go back and kind of just reread our policy of our response as an agency, especially with any unknown devices, right? Whether they're credible or not. With that, I think our policy is well written, but one thing that I personally do is, as I learned from other agencies and I started diving into their policies and stuff. And so, for instance, and this is something that I'm sure that we probably can meet with Superintendent Weigel and any of his administration and maybe with this event, possibly create something for the future or not, or maybe just kind of tighten up some loose ends. Because as the undersheriff said, I mean, you know, it's kind of a perishable skill because we don't get it all the time. So responding to it, you know, it's always good to talk about it and to maybe even put some practicals out there. But one of the other departments that I was just reviewing some of their policy, they actually, in the law enforcement side of their policy, they have a thing where if until it's deemed a not credible threat or not a credible threat, law enforcement just kind of takes over jurisdiction of all of it. And so that's basically just saying, this is our scene until it's not. Again, I'm completely open to opinion, but I think in that sense, again, the communication was there. We were on the phone with each other. You know, I mean, it was, I think the best word is probably a cluster. And I think that we all worked through it appropriately for having the buses, having the parents drop off. You know, yes, the threat was to the high school, but again, with Libby just being its neighbor, you know, I mean, they were responsive with bringing the little ones in and then you have the, you know, the outside focus of now you're having parents rush with their little ones because you have the school monitors blowing whistles because they think they're late. And then I had some of my deputies saying, you're not late, we're just bringing them inside. So don't feel like you need to run, like, you know, so things like that. So again, maybe future talks of hypothetically, if it were to happen again, of just, it's our scene until it's not. And then with us, we respond as it's credible until we can prove otherwise. So that means all the resources that we can use, bringing in outside agencies. Again, I'm open to it looking different for Platte County and how it works for Platte County because, you know, like I said, we don't live in Cody, we don't live in those places, we live here. So making it work for our people, for our parents, and for our kids here. But that was just something that I went and kind of did a self-review on of making sure that I'm being aware of that I felt confident in my skills and kind of leading everything. I felt confident in our MOU with the PD and how they acted and how we responded and utilized Laramie County and all that. So I felt like everything ended well. And again, I had communication with the principal and Superintendent Weigel, but I think we could definitely tighten up some shoelaces with it for sure.
If there's a threat to a facility in the school district, is there some place identified that you can transport the kids to a safe place?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's places, we could do one of the other schools, we could use the old junior high, we have evacuation plans, it just depends on the situation. One time we were involved in an evacuation where it was an armory, let's say, and then, you know, the gas smell actually went there, so sometimes you have to have multiple places. So we do have our transportation area, that's kind of a new facility, it's bigger, larger, we have food and water there, we have bathrooms there, so we have a couple different options. We could actually have the kids stay on the buses after we have that plan in place too, so we have multiple areas and we could actually utilize.
And I think
depending on
the
students.
folks that I talked to, the thing that they were the most upset about is we're taking the kids from the buses or from the outside and putting them in where the threat is instead of taking them away from the threat.
Mhm.
And
and there's something, I guess, to kind of think about with some of these when they come in as a multifaceted threat is, what is their ultimate goal with that threat? Is it to get the kids lined up and outside for an attack? Are we attacking the inside? So
and that's,
there's all these things that you gotta try to kind of take
yeah, and
into
that's the thing that
consideration, I suppose.
not everybody thinks of is, okay, we get the kids outside lining up going on the bus, what if there's the shooter?
So, and that might be the main goal from the very beginning. Let's call it in, let's get them filed out, let's make this attack on the outside too, right? So, you know, I don't know what the right answer is completely with all of it, but, you know, maybe future says the ones that are there, stay there, and the ones that aren't, don't come in, right? Like, I don't know what that looks like. But we gotta I guess, work through that and have that conversation and make those plans to where we're not trying to muddle through it in that moment, I guess. Cause you do it
That's right, yeah.
your best you can at that moment and take everything you got available to you to make those decisions and try to make the right ones for
With
everybody
all
else,
the
I guess, you
variables
know.
you got, where there's probably no standard to anything, because, you know, you got this, you could have that, and you don't know, so,
Right,
you
and
know,
where
this
it
is
hit
a
us,
learning experience for everybody, I would think, to a degree to where they're talking to each other and
And I
usually
guess-
we're pretty fortunate because we get to see an email list or we get some sort of notification from DCI or something that there has been a mass threat put out, or they get some word that there's,
We're never,
More than
we're
one.
never usually the first.
right,
We're
So
usually
when-
way down on that list and
when-
already been notified to then act, differently, respond differently. This one, we were one of the first ones out of the gate, so.
he called me to fill me in right away. I was on my way to town from my home in Guernsey, and I told him I would start getting dogs set up to come up, and when I called them, I half expected them to be like, hey, we're busy doing the same thing you are, right? So, and when they didn't, that kind of brings up the level of credibility on my part, because we're the only ones that hear it right now. Once all that stuff starts filtering in and we hear more, and there's 9 districts here, I think I ended up counting 22 different threats in Wyoming at one point. And once we start hearing those, the credibility starts sloughing off some. And it's obviously not as urgent as a single out threat, because being able to coordinate that much is highly unlikely, I guess.
Yeah, we were halfway through having the explosive team work through the building with their dogs when DCI sent out their inlet email saying that it was going across the state. So, I mean, we were already knee deep in everything and basically done with our search when it was finally sent out to all the state law enforcement agencies that, hey, be aware of this, so.
And I guess I look at it in a, I don't know, I think probably the same mentality, and Ward talked about what is the motivation for all these? What is the end goal for these people to do it? I guess my worry, and it's just kind of who I am, is to look at the worst side of things. What are we looking at in the future with these? I mean, is somebody setting all these spoof calls up so that we put down our guard? So, that being said, I think we take the events that we obviously can't change. Whatever happened, but we learn from them and change from them. And I'm sure John here, him and his staff, if they'd be willing to sit down, we train, we do some talking, we set up some, different plans so that this is not an issue in the future. So that, I mean, you talked about, we had one of these a couple of years ago, well, that means it's a trend that's starting to go through as all this stuff,
I would expect it to balloon. To your point about it, the ease of access to something, to spoof a call or to do whatever goes up, then the frequency goes up. And so my point about what do we do next time is exactly that. And so that is something that I would probably bet on, that it happens again. And so how do we react
it's a
when it
guarantee.
happens again? And I think that, I feel really good about having Deputy Keller there, because he's good and he knows the place and everything else, and I'm wondering how that relationship works between the SO and the schools, because in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, the school's job is not to necessarily deal with threats like that. It might be more appropriate for law enforcement agency to get it, because they can call for dogs, they can call for the assets to support when they need support like that. And so I don't know what that looks like, and I don't have a dog in the fight, but I think that we should get something like that worked out, because then it is either our responsibility or not our responsibility. And then that flows down to every single call that we get going, I went to school today, I couldn't pick up my kids because they told me this or that, I don't know what's going on. And you have exported that panic countywide. And so that relationship and everything we do going forward from here needs to go, what does it look like next time and how do we do it better? These are the problems we had this time, and how do we, the solutions I think are pretty simple. And it is, to your point, practice makes whatever you're practicing at better. So it doesn't make it perfect, but it makes it better.
And nothing ever goes as planned, but if you have a base foundation on that plan, you can build on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
having resources like Deputy Killer in there, I think that is one thing that can make something go either really well or really poorly.
Yeah, and I hope I made my position pretty strong. I love the SRO program. I think it has potential through the roof. And I think many SROs are doing a fantastic job.
They're the softest things in the county to hit, right?
Yep.
It turns
What's
out,
gonna cause the most issue, what's gonna cause, and that's why they do it. But
Yes.
like I said, my worry is how many times before, you know?
right, absolutely, absolutely.
So definitely something that, you know, like I said, we're gonna learn from. We're gonna move forward, we're gonna be better, because that's mistakes you make, the bad mistakes are the ones you don't learn from. And
I completely agree with you, Tony.
We actually sat down with superintendent and the principal, chief of police, and then myself and Cody. That afternoon, we kind of discussed some things of how it went and what we thought about, and maybe where it could go in the future. And one of the things we discussed is the focus of each side of his law enforcement versus school district, right? We
Yes.
have a different focus in that part.
Yes,
Ours is, a community protection type focus, and we have certain procedures and tactics that we use that applies to that, as well as he has a focus on making sure these kids have the operational in school and maintain that learning environment and those type of things. So there's gotta be some sort of, I don't wanna call it compromise, but a compromise between us on what that solution looks like,
how do you minimize the risk the most effectively? That's what it looks like. You
So, I
do
mean-
something well, you do something well, and so how do we marry those two to where we can fill as many gaps as we
So,
possibly can?
maybe there are times that we come in over the top and he's underneath, and we gotta somewhere figure out how to make that what it needs to be, or vice versa.
And that relationship between the SRO and the school districts, I think, facilitates that understanding. You know the deputies, you know the SRO and, or the SO in general, and it's not a big call to go, I need to call him.
I felt it was invaluable to have him that morning,
Yeah.
because that's the first call.
Yeah.
He has all the contacts within the district for superintendent and things, and they're comfortable speaking to him because they've had conversation, and
Yeah.
it's not us learning each other in the chaos.
Exactly.
They already
Yeah.
have that relationship, and it helps have those hard talks and make it easier to come to a solution like in that moment.
Because without an SRO program, that whole thing looks a whole lot different.
Because you're gonna get just a patrol guy that rolls in there and has been in the school maybe once or twice, and they're only there for the bad things, right? When they have to be there, when we get called there.
Yeah.
That's tough. Teachers don't know him, they don't know who to talk to, any of his personality or anything, so it adds another layer to that mix.
Well, relationships have a value.
What's that?
Relationships have a value,
They do,
you know.
they do.
And I think we've improved on some safety protocols, even in a classroom where maybe a possible issue, where they actually have access that goes directly to dispatch, and they can see the room, the map, the communication, the visual. So we did a lot of work together, so it's not
Yes.
like we're working separately
I don't.
at all. But so we have, I think, improved the communication between the district and law enforcement folks.
Yeah, the system is gonna be absolutely amazing.
So we've been talking a lot. How do you see this going forward? As far as the steps, there's gonna be a conversation with us, but how do you see this going forward?
I would love to meet one more time, because I think during the day we talked about it the same day it happened. Now that we've had a chance to maybe investigate and look into some other things, we could sit down and say, hey, same kind of scenario, what do we do? What do we do differently? What do we do the same? Panic, how do we limit panic, I would hope, across and keep people safe? Precautions we're gonna take, we might not always have the bomb dogs coming from Cheyenne, they might not be available to us, so what else would we do? I mean, I think initially we had a good debrief, but I think we need to meet one more time and kind of like validate some of the things we're gonna do next time.
Or maybe even meet on a quarterly basis to discuss.
Yeah, it's kind of, we could have this
Instead
as part of
just
our
one at a
safety
time, yeah.
plans to talk through that, for sure.
And as time, things change, over time, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have those communications.
comes down to the thing too, is we can try to discuss every scenario, every plan, and it seems like no matter what it is, it's always different, and
Yeah.
we can take pieces from those conversations and try to put them together, but it's never a perfect world in those situations, and we gotta make the best and make a decision in seconds on what we, think is the best move at that moment, and I guess kind of stand with our decisions at that point. Not saying we can't learn from them and do better the next time, but you gotta own what you got and stick with it.
And I think in the future, if there's anything, that the county can do, assets or resources or anything that we can help you guys with, we're more than willing to
Yes.
plan for that. And well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's in Penny.
Just as soon as
I need to change that.
We don't want to meet with it,
Morning. Have some stuff.
we'll wait till Jeff.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry to disrupt your, sorry. I know, I just brought samples to see this.
Okay, we have our public health news on our agenda.
Yeah. Do you want to do the amendment first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an amendment to the Family Resource Center grant, which would increase it to, I'll give you the total here in just a second,
179,691.
179,691.91. It's kind of a goofy way the state does this grant, the agreement anyway. I've never seen one where they lay out all the amendments to it, but I actually really like it, so hopefully that can catch fire with the state of Wyoming. But anyway, I think it's a testament to the Family Resource Center that they keep sending, we started with 67,000 and now it's up to 180. And that's through September 30th. And so what that does, it's sufficient funding to allow Julie to go full-time in that role.
I can explain a little bit more
Yeah,
about that.
and knowing full well that, like the other grant-funded positions, it's contingent upon grant funding, and like the other positions, it's all funded by the grant. So there's no general funds in the full-time employment.
So what had happened with that, is we were notified by the Family Resource Center, or excuse me, Wyoming Children's Trust Fund, that there were 6 family resource centers across the state that weren't doing what they needed to do with the funding that they had received from the Children's Trust Fund. So they took that money back. And then they allocated that amount to the remaining family resource centers so that we could continue to provide the quality services that we are currently doing. When I got that amount, I came over and I chatted with Malcolm, because with our other funding that we have, we're using that as operating costs. I wanted to see if we could use that funding to make Julie full-time, because right now she's only a part-time employee. And she's doing a lot of work on part-time hours. And so I had to send an amendment to the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund to amend that budget to make her full-time. They in turn approved it and then sent this amendment for you guys to look at. So that is where I would like to allocate that additional $20,000 to make her full-time, if approved by you guys.
Well done.
And that covers salary and
Yes,
benefits and
yes.
everything.
Because right now she's only salary with part of the funds from the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund. Yep, no benefits at all. This would allow her to have benefits, at least through September 30th of 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other counties are gonna get their act together and
They, well,
do it right.
we're gonna do such good work that they're not even gonna get any of that funding. We're gonna keep getting it.
That's right.
We're gonna keep getting it.
That's right.
A lot of pressure.
That's why you're on the A team.
Yeah.
Good. Consider a motion on the amendment.
I move to approve Amendment 2 to the Family Resource Center grant agreement.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Amendment 2 to the Family Resource Center Grant Agreement. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Well, as always, I want to make sure that I let you guys know that I am so greatly appreciative of all the support that you guys give to public health. It's a rough business sometimes, and right now it's getting even rougher. So I really do appreciate you guys supporting our services that we are offering in the county. So what we came here to talk about today is our Family Resource Center and the different funding that we do use to operate that center. With the upcoming budget session, this will be one of the grants that will be up for discussion. We don't know if it's gonna be funded after September 30th. We're hoping that it is. We're not getting any indication right now that it's gonna go away. But who knows? We don't know what's gonna happen in the votes at the legislature. So I just kind of wanted to let you know how we're functioning over there. So that way, if I come asking for money when that budget might go away, that we might be able to keep the center open. So basically, the start of the Family Resource Center started back in late 23, early 24. I was approached by Community Action of Laramie County in Cheyenne to help be the subrecipient for the County Services Block Grant in Platte County, because it hasn't been managed by Platte County for quite some time. As you're aware, I'm sure. I don't know if these guys are. Yeah, Ian, you probably have been, but Jeff. Anyway, so they came and had a meeting with me to see if we wanted to be part of that so that we could get those funds back here in Platte County, at least a portion of them. So I visited with Malcolm about that, and we took that role on, and you guys approved us getting that funding. Around that same time, that's when we were approached by Amy Zeke from the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund about opening a Family Resource Center. Someone in Platte County had applied for those initial funds, but then had turned them back in and decided they did not want to do it. I don't know who it was, but she contacted me and said, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And I said, "Well, sure, we'll try it." Again, chatted with Malcolm about it to see if it would be an opportunity for us, and you guys allowed me to do it, which I appreciate. And we had a vision, I had a vision of what I wanted that Family Resource Center to be, where we could provide a liaison, public health we provide direct care services. We provide services for everybody, no matter their income, anybody comes in, we can help them. But we were missing that person that could help people find all of the resources outside of healthcare. And so then that's when I headhunted Julie Worthington. This is Julie, Ian, and Steve.
Julie,
and
nice
Joe.
to meet you.
Because Julie and I had a relationship, we worked together at the long-term care center over here, and Julie is awesome at what she does. And I'll toot her horn again in just a few minutes. But anyway, so once we got the approval for all the funding, you guys allowed me to hire her. Thanks again for that. And Julie and I came together for what we wanted to do with that vision. And so I kind of put in front of you our one-page funding and accountability brief, and it talks about how we are using CSBG funds and Wyoming Children's Trust Fund to make the center work. So with our CSBG funds, they pay a portion of Julie's part-time salary only. We have some allocated funds for that this year. The first couple of years we didn't, it was all salary, but this current fiscal year, they did allocate us an additional $4,000 to provide direct services to families in need, with the intention that they could not just walk in and get those funds right then and there. They had to commit to participating in intensive case management to teach them how to get out of the situation that they are in. So if they're having issues budgeting every month for rent because they're not spending it appropriately, that is where Julie comes in. She would be their case manager and show them how to do that. They would have to be on service for several months, showing that they are making progress before any other additional funding would be given to them. And it would be, right now, basically what we have over there, that we've used some of that $4,000 in funds for shelf-stable food for somebody who is applying for SNAP benefits and has not gotten their approval yet, or doesn't qualify for SNAP benefits because they make $5 over the amount that what they're supposed to get. But they would just get a portion of that food from Julie to get them through till the food bank opened or something like that. But it's not on a monthly basis. They get a one-time $50 worth of food, and Julie has it right there in the office. It's like canned goods, peanut butter, crackers, things of that nature. So that is where that $4,000 sits. But we don't use it all the time because, like I said, they have to be in participation in that case management for several months before they can get that. So that's how we use our CSBG funds. Our Wyoming Children's Trust Fund money that you guys just approved that amendment for is also to help Julie's salary. It's our operating costs for our rent, our phone service, our internet service, our office supplies. What am I forgetting, Julie? Hold on a second, I got it. And then our marketing and program materials. So if we have to put anything in the newspaper, that funding comes from this program. Julie also does a monthly tote program, which I'm gonna have her show you in just a second, and that's how we buy the supplies for that. There are no direct care services that come out of the Family Resource Center funding. None of that. Like I said, it's all general operating costs. And for us to run that center, Julie has to meet certain criteria as well. She has to have certification in the 5 protective factors, ACEs, customer service, mandatory reporting, national standards training, and parent advisory board training. So our trainings are paid through the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund as well. She is required to host monthly meetings for the Community Resource Coalition. She is also required to have a quarterly technical assistance meeting so that they can look at where we're spending our money and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is nice. So there's another set of eyes on that. And then I am required to make sure that Julie's doing all of that. And then I am the one that submits those monthly invoices for expenditures and reimbursement to the county. And I brought examples of that if you guys want to see it too. Yeah, got all sorts of stuff. One other great thing about this center is it has grown so much. We really identified a gap and a need in our county. not only our county, but neighboring counties who keep calling us and saying, hey, we need help, and we're like, yeah, sorry, you need to talk to your people in your
There's
county.
only one Julie. and
There's
she's mine.
exactly, and she's mine, yes, I'm telling you, I've gotten multiple phone calls about it. And I'm like, yeah, no, not right now.
That's right.
But it has grown, and Julie sees a lot of people that are in need, and I'll let her go into a few more things in just a minute. But as we've grown, we have to also find ways to be sustainable, because we know the county can't always pick up everything that we need. And with budgets being cut all over the place, it's difficult. So we applied for a grant in the amount of $10,000 from the Wyoming Community Foundation last spring. And we were awarded $10,000 in June, but then we also got an additional $8,000 from an anonymous donor that said, help the residents of Platte County. So it was for a total of $18,000. So the $10,000 of that grant, we bought a conference table and chairs, as Julie's supposed to be having meetings. She has to provide parenting classes, financial classes, so we use all the funding for that in those areas. And the $8,000, the additional $8,000 are where we are using some of our direct care emergency assistance funds. And as you guys can see from your sheet, those funds are only available to residents who meet established criteria and eligibility requirements. They have to be at a certain level of the poverty scale. They have to show us work pay stubs, bills, all sorts of stuff. Julie has a whole application packet that she's gonna show you, but they do have to go through an extensive application process to even be awarded funds. And again, these funds don't go directly to the consumer, they go to the vendor. So if someone comes in and says, hey, I cannot pay my electric bill this month, we go, okay, how much is it? And like, we got one the other day that was like a request for like $2,000, and we're like, sorry, we cannot do that. We can help you with a portion of it, but you're gonna have to take care of the rest of it. And then Julie will then go on to say to them, hey, maybe we need to get into case management so that you're not in this situation. So that's what she offers. But like I said, those funds go directly to the vendor. They never go to the actual person. They don't get cash. It'll go to a landlord, but they have to prove that they're a landlord to us. So if we have to pay a month's rent, they have to show that they're a landlord.
And those payments come through us.
Yes,
right?
yep, absolutely.
That's what.
Yes.
That's that one I
Yes,
seen.
and I'll show you, Julie makes them sign a voucher. Then we go to the vendor has to sign a voucher. Then she sends it to me, I invoice it over to you, the check comes directly from you guys. Or if, say, we have to go to like the grocery store or to the pharmacy and buy their meds, Julie goes right with them to the pharmacy. Our county credit card is used, and then I reimburse through our invoicing process. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that that's kind of how we do all of that. Another great thing is that we've had a couple of community members who have really recognized the good work that Julie has done, who wish to remain anonymous. But they have also given us some additional funding to use to help our residents of Platte County. And I think that just really speaks to the good work that Julie is doing. And those donated funds have to go through the exact same process of the emergency assistance funds that we have through the Community Foundation. So they still have to apply,
All the same guidelines.
follow all the same guidelines. Yep, all the same guidelines. So we want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible with our money. So that way you guys can see all of that. And of course, you know, without the grant funding to pay for, you know, the direct operational costs and salaries, you know, we can't keep this project going. So we're hoping that if you know I can't lobby, I'm a state employee. So if you know of anybody that can go and advocate for continued funding for the family resource centers, that would be great. Talk to them about how important it is to our community and how we're seeing, you know, good things happen with the people that we are helping. We have a video that Malcolm's gonna show. I don't know if you guys recall, but a couple months back, there was actually a film crew from DC that came in and filmed Julie at the Family Resource Center about the good work that she's doing. And then, of course, it's been shown at the state. So I want to show that really quick, and then I'm going to let Julie talk about some of the things that she does.
Buffalo, Wyoming is a really small rural community.
That one's, there should be one that is just Julie.
That's the one that was on the thumb drive.
I think it starts out that way,
Okay.
and then it goes.
It's about 34 miles outside of Sheridan, Wyoming, and it's located at the base of the Bighorn Mountains. The Family Resource Center has been really important in helping us implement and create our early childhood program. So our parent group that we have here at Meadowlark Elementary has been really important. It's allowed the early childhood kiddos to really make bonds or form bonds, and they get to practice their fine motor skills, sharing. They obviously, get to interact with me and read stories and do crafts and just have that opportunity to be kids and play. I am a mom of 6. I have 2 boys, and then I have quadruplets. And I remember when I was a stay-at-home mom, how lonely it was to be in the house all day with little kids and not necessarily having that mom group or parent group. It's allowed all of our parents to have that sense of community, and that I think is priceless. We are so rural, so parents are spending a lot of money traveling, whether it's on gas and food to get to different activities. Some of the programs that are offered in the community can get really expensive, especially when you have multiple kids. Our parents in the community can check out tote bags with literacy materials that they can take home. This summer, we held our very first Bugging Out for Reading camp, and our community absolutely loved it. We got amazing feedback on it, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to continue that in the future. So having things like free camps, our parent group is free, and the tote program is free. I think being able to offer those types of programs is really beneficial to parents that do struggle financially. I think I would convince any new parent that has any hesitation in attending our play group that we are a really safe place to come. And I would just say, try us out. We are pretty amazing, and I'm excited to watch it grow.
So sorry, that wasn't the right video. We have one specifically for Platte County, but that is Julie's counterpart in Buffalo. So out of when they came to film, there was only 3 family resource centers that they filmed: Buffalo, Julie, and then Cheyenne. So that's pretty cool. Sorry, it was the wrong one. I don't know how that happened, but anyway.
If you can give me the right one, I'll
Yeah,
actually.
I will. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I kind of want to let Julie show some of the things that she's doing, if you guys are okay with that, just to see what she's.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I just want to recap. I'm Julie Worthington, FRC Coordinator, CSBG Case Manager. And the video that I did do was with someone that I helped. She was a single mom. She had 4 kids. She was a victim of domestic violence. She came in and she said, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any food. I'm not really sure where I'm going to live. I don't have health care. My kids aren't in school. I don't know what to do. I'm in a van, and that's it. So we sat down and we decided, well, we need to make a plan. What are we going to do? Which problem are we going to tackle first? So we started prioritizing some things. I gave her resources. We signed her up for CSBG. I was able to talk to her about some different things we wanted to solve first. Took time, and she was on the program for about 8 months. She's actually on the video, and she talks about how she started out at the very bottom and didn't have anywhere to go, didn't know what to do, didn't know a lot about Platte County because she had just moved here. She was scared. She didn't know if her kids were going to get in school right away. She didn't have food, and she said she felt a lot better about everything, and she just felt she had a plan, a way to move forward, and it was like a light at the end of the tunnel is how she described it. So it took time. We worked on it. We did a lot, but that's one case that I worked on. A lot of times I'll have people come in and they might need help with insurance, maybe they need help with medical stuff. They need to know, where do I go to get this? And I have a resource library I've been building that I give people in regards to that. A lot of times when you sit down with people and you talk about one problem, you find out there's other things going on and they may need further assistance. And that's okay too. So then we make a plan to go forward with that as well. So that's basically what I do. My Kids Tote program is it's called Ollie the Owl. And I follow the 5 protective factors. And I also change the theme every month. So one month might be about boundaries, the other's about emotional intelligence or emotional health. The next month might be focusing on, okay, when I go to school, how do I deal with different people and different ways of communicating with people? So there's a lot of different variety in the Kids Tote program. What I did is I printed out some budget allocations so you could just kind of get an idea of some of the themes I have. Oops, I'm sorry. And then right behind that, I have some actual pictures of people that received free computers. And I was donated free computers by the Wyoming Hunger Initiative. They knew of an energy company that was getting rid of all their computers. And so they wanted to donate them out to different people. So I put in an application and a letter, and they approved my application, and I was able to receive 10 donated computers. So I use those donated computers in my CSBG as well to say, hey, if you actually graduate from the program, here's just an added incentive to help you with your life. And there's a couple of people that have found them very beneficial because they couldn't apply for work or couldn't go to school, couldn't finish their schooling. So it gives them an edge up to get where they need to in their life, so their life is better and they can grow and provide, of course, sustainability. And the program is all about accountability as well. So when we sit down and there's a problem, I say, okay, can't pay your rent, why? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna stay out of this situation and not go back to it next month? What are you gonna do? What are your steps? What are we gonna work on together? And so those are some of the things that I try to work on every day with them.
The goal of the Family Resource Center is to bring families closer together, and that's why we do the TOTE program, so that parents can understand how to deal with their kids' stuff, because kids have a lot of stuff this day and age compared to when we were all young, but it fosters those important relationships.
Would you like a tote?
I'd like to see it too.
Just, yes, and they're very fun. So when Julie does those, the families complete the activity, and when they bring that tote back, then they get a free book for their library at home, which is paid for by the Family Resource Center, so.
A cookbook.
Can you hold that up, Ian? Can you hold that up with the book?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I think you probably have a couple kids that might wanna do those.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really cool.
and it's all free, everything is free, so I mean, as long as the families come in and they do the activity, give Julie the feedback, return the tote bag, they will get, like I said, a free book for their personal library at home. Julie also does mobile racks at Project Safe, mobile library racks. Project Safe, Early Childhood,
DFS.
and DFS, and what it is there's like self-help books, there's parenting books, there's kids books. So if people can't make it to like the library, or if they don't have a library card, they are allowed to go in and look at those books and take them and bring them back, if they're, wanna read some things. So it's really cool, and she goes and changes that out all the time too. And these are all things that are funded with the Children's Trust Fund.
So I'm also working on, we've been doing some work regarding parenting classes. We're trying to get started in February. Annie Petrowski over at Public Health is helping me with that. I've been holding finance classes with BMO. Barbara Crow over there has been helping me, because I discovered that a lot of times when I talk to people, they either overspend, they didn't understand budgeting, they didn't understand finance. And it seemed to be a continual issue every time we sat down and talked. So I thought, well, maybe if I give them some basics in budgeting and some different finance, that maybe they'll learn from that, and it'll help them with their behaviors. So sometimes it can be very difficult because you're dealing with changing behaviors, but I just do the best that I can and go from there.
You're really cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
She does great work.
And I track everything, so.
I think one of the anonymous donors called me the other day.
I think they did.
Visited about the program.
Yes,
In support.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with it.
yeah.
That's impressive.
It's really turned out, like I said, when I got approached to start this, I had a vision of what I wanted, and Julie has made that come to fruition, and I'm really proud of the work that she does. I mean, I'm proud of all of my staff over at Public Health, they're all fantastic, but Julie has done an exceptional job in the year that we've had her. And we've really made a difference in a lot of people's lives, and we want to continue to do that. So again, if you guys know of anybody, or anybody in the audience can go and talk to the legislators about continuing the funding for the family resource centers, that would be great, because it's really needed in our community.
Is it all state funded, or there's the Fed money trickle into it, or how does, what's the source?
Well, some kind of, yeah, kind of. That money goes into like the Department of Family Services, and then it's filtered down into the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund, and then to all those other areas. And so they just have to determine where their priority is. And this was just a 3-year pilot program to see what can happen, but I think they're seeing that
Effectiveness.
especially in rural communities where there are less resources, they're really seeing that these kind of centers are really helping out the communities. We don't, we have a homeless issue in Platte County. We have a housing issue in Platte County, and I think that data that we can collect, and then if we have to go higher up, we can go, hey, we need funding because this, and this is going on, and we don't have the shelters and all of that stuff like the larger communities do. So
I would also argue that it doesn't seem like there's very much funding in this program, but the amount of work and actual things you guys get done, I would imagine it is orders of magnitude cheaper than funding somebody to be homeless.
yes,
Yes.
Or to be ineffective or not manage their own life. It's
Right.
teaching somebody how to fish instead of
Mhm.
feeding them fish.
Mhm. And that's the goal. It's a hand up, not a handout. We're teaching them to really take accountability for their actions and their decisions. And you know what? If they want our help, they will come in and they will continue to do it. If they just come in and think that we're just gonna give them money and then they can walk out the door, they're sorely mistaken, because that's not the goal of the program. We have to help these people be responsible, and if they really and truly wanna get out of that situation, they will continue to go see her. If not, they're just there to,
I can usually tell when
Yes.
someone is accepting assistance or when they've hit rock bottom, so
Uh-huh.
to speak.
Yeah.
And they wanna make their lives better. If they don't, then I say, okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
This isn't for you. This program's not for you.
I agree. I think that I can't say enough good things about it, because it's one of the only things that it's community welfare, but it's effective. You guys are actually show that you do care, that you can make a life out of whatever you have.
Yes.
and I really wish you could have seen our video, because it was really, I was there the day that it was videoed, and I mean, I was crying in the background, because this young woman that Julie helped, graduated the program. She has taken CNA classes, she is taking her CNA boards.
Yes.
So now she is that step, I mean, she has made great strides to take care of her kids, and then she wants to even go further. She wants to go into nursing eventually, and so
Yeah.
that's
She has
the
a
kind of people that we wanna help.
She has a full-time job. They have a place, a residence, a permanent residence, which is important,
Huge.
because a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
She has savings started. She has budgeting. She's trying to work on some of her own business on the side, along with her full-time job and schooling at the same time. And she raises 4 kids by
Yes.
herself.
Yes.
She gets
Yeah.
no child support.
Yeah.
She has all her kids into counseling because there's all some past trauma there. We see a lot of trauma when people come in. There's a lot of trauma. She has regular food security, because food insecurity is a large part of what I see too. So all of that, and that's a lot of work for someone to do, and they really have to want to do it too. But she's accomplished all of that. In the time when she started, she had none of that.
And she just continues to come in and say hi to Julie every once in a while, and just say, hey, I'm doing great, thanks to you, and
Yeah.
I owe it all to you, and so
And they
that's
don't leave.
great, that's great.
It is one of the, I think one of the hardest things to, and you're not providing it to them, but to become a productive member of society where you're self-sufficient and you're self-supporting is one of the greatest feelings you can ever have somebody feel.
Yeah.
And it's also one of the hardest things to do, because it requires a lot of work, and so that a little bit of help here and there, and hey, stick with me for 8 months, and then you build the habits that are important to actually make them, instead of a draw on the community, an asset. So this she
An
comes in
asset.
as a CNA
Yes,
where there's a real shortage in
Yes.
nursing.
and wants to go even more.
Exactly.
Has aspirations to become even a better version of herself, and that's the goal of the center.
And there's a lot of
Exactly.
negativity, so you have to keep them positive and let them know, you can do this, you can do this. You're like their cheerleader,
That's right.
so.
And you guys can come and visit the center at any time. It's great and it's super cute, so.
Where is the
It's
center?
at 1560B Johnston Street. It used to be the old
Yep.
state water office, that's where we're at.
I've seen that, yeah, Meg used to have an office right next to it.
Here's one of the donated computers I got,
So we got 10 of those, so.
so
With
I
all
got
the
10.
plugins and everything to go with it. Yeah, we got all of it, so, yeah.
It's used, but the people, two of my
Yeah.
clients have it now, they graduated and
So if somebody wanted to do something for that center, if they felt motivated to do that, what is the best way to have them contribute to it?
So, interesting that you asked that, because I did get a phone call from our anonymous donor this morning. She and I have been, communicating regularly, but, we want to set up a line, item at the Wyoming Community Foundation that's specifically for the Platte County Family Resource Center. So if somebody did want to donate to that, they could get in touch with the Community Foundation and donate directly to that. And then they would alert us, and then we would continue to just invoice it like we normally
So
do.
it'd be similar to what, like Light May did with
That's right.
Yes,
money she set aside to the community
Yes.
foundation that is specific for the fairgrounds.
yes,
And they seem to be able to account for that, well, the state, so.
yes, there is a lot.
And we're
yeah.
always looking for grants.
Yeah,
so,
always,
Yeah.
yeah. We're-
I'm
we
always
look
keeping
for
my
that.
eye on
Mhm.
flexible grants or other grants through other entities.
Yep, as part of our sustainability, so that we don't have to ask for county funds. We want to be able to figure out ways to do it, but
I think programs that have merit will stand on their own. That's what I'm thinking about. If they do, how do you support it otherwise? So,
did you guys want to see anything else?
what's the total amount of money if you were to lose all the grants that would pay for that program?
So, let's see, because that 180 was for 3 years, and then 20 annually, gosh, you guys are gonna make me do,
Mental math. Under a million,
Oh.
over $10.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably 200,000, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
Over a
between
three-
all of the
Mhm.
funding that we've received,
Over a how long period?
3 years.
3?
Uh-huh.
Oh, 200,000 over 3 years?
Yeah, because that 180 was over a
Was
3-year
over
period,
three.
that, yeah,
That's, I'm gonna kick myself for saying that. It's not bad.
yeah, that's kind of what we thought too. That gives us our operating costs, our salary,
Yeah,
being able to provide the totes and things of that nature. So it's
that's,
We have a center, they can physically walk in
Yeah.
and talk to a real person,
person.
a real
That's right.
person, which is really unique.
Yeah.
A lot of times they go into an office and they might not get something they need or someone or have to get on the computer and there's a lot of seniors that come in too and I assist a lot of seniors with their things as well.
And
Yeah,
Julie
when
will
you-
be one of the staff members that will be going over frequently to Guernsey as well, so that we can reach our Guernsey clients that need help. We're still trying to get into Glendo and Chug. Those two communities are really tough nuts to crack. I mean,
yeah.
but we're gonna start with Guernsey, so she'll be going over, with one of my nurses, to make sure that we can help those county residents as well, so.
When you build your success story, the way you build it, it's one person at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, in your filtering process and, your qualification process and how you go through and, I mean, that says a lot to building success, because of the processes that you've got set up and you go through. And your qualifications and basically the roadmap that they have to follow and understand and, because figuring out if they want to help themselves or if they're just looking for the other, pretty quickly done, I would think at that level.
Yeah.
You know,
If they don't wanna do the work, they're not gonna go through the process of completing the application, they're not going to give you any of the documents you need. They're not gonna respond when you go back to them and say, okay, I did my part, now you do your part.
Uh-huh.
Here's your homework, what have you done?
Well, they should have,
So,
be a active participant in it.
Yeah.
Very
You
active,
know,
yes.
to participate in it and have the want,
Yeah.
well, start with the need, then participate, then have the, you know, the want to continue through.
Yeah.
You're building people's constitutions to a certain degree too, because
Yeah.
they may walk in there in a devastated fashion and they don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't even know what the plan is,
Yeah, I
what that
mean,
looks
they-
like how do you
and
even,
so-
yeah.
You know, you're instilling a constitution and a kind of a backbone in them and say,
Mhm.
you can do this, but this is what it's gonna take to get there.
Exactly.
And-
You are tough enough.
What's that?
You are tough enough.
Yes,
You are tough enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can
Exactly.
do this, yeah. Mhm.
And if you get that instilled in somebody and say, you know what, you can do this because your skin's thick enough, your backbone's thick enough, you're smart enough,
Mhm.
then they begin to accept it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And until
It is
they
great.
accept
And then
it,
it's their reality.
it's tougher.
Mhm.
But once they accept it,
Mhm.
then they're gonna move quicker.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions for us?
I think that was cool. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
yeah,
putting this
thank
in.
you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
Yes,
support
yeah.
too.
We do. We always do. Always appreciate it. And thanks for the floors in our office. They look really nice. You need to come over and look at those too. They look really good. We got that yucky carpet out of there that's not
Growing.
great.
Did that other office get done yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Did, okay.
yes, yeah, they did, yeah.
So you're down to 2 now?
Malcolm, I don't think there's any place I need to sign this, is there?
No, that's the, yeah, they want me to sign it, but that's, I told them, that's what I want to do to sign it, but I can. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's a, then I'll make sure. to-
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'll get you a copy of it. Yep. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Jay, do we have any further business?
It wasn't on the agenda, and I'm happy to put it on the next one if you want. Sure.
Oh, yeah. Mention this.
Asked about it, it's the extraterritorial agreement with Albany County. It's the same one that was approved in '23.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
The difference is just who the sheriff is. And so the reason you have to sign is the county does accept some liability in doing things like this. We're out of our area. And so more or less you're accepting that liability. So if you want to, be a extraterritorial assistance agreement with Albany County.
I move to accept the extraterritorial assistant MOU with Albany County.
That's the chairman to sign.
Yes, please.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the extraterritorial assistance agreement with Albany County and give the chairman the authority to sign. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any further business? We will consider ourselves adjourned.